Thomas Wauschbach from Werde Musiker. You'll find the links to various free piano courses below in the video description. And now, have fun with this tutorial. In this video, I'll show you this beautiful piano accompaniment pattern and many even more beautiful variations of this pattern. Of course, I'll also give you tips on how to play it evenly, elegantly, and beautifully. And very importantly, how you can avoid a few mistakes that might occur along the way. So, let's get started with this first version that I just showed you. We'll begin with the left hand. The pinky finger is precisely positioned on C, the middle finger on E, and the thumb on G. This combination forms a C major chord. And that can already be a first challenge for the left hand. To play these notes, above all, the pinky is a weak finger, but let's give it a try. Try placing your hand on the piano as if you were holding an apple or a tennis ball or something similar in your hand. So, not like this and not like that, but in a way that the fingertips are nicely pointing upwards in this case, and now, of course, onto the keys. And now, once again, the pinky. I know it's mean. Now try the middle finger. That's already much easier. And now the thumb. That should be the easiest one. But the thumb can also easily be too loud. So, the very first exercise is to play these three specific notes here alternately, one after the other. Once you have successfully done that, we will then do precisely the same with the right hand. Look, she's playing the same notes, just with different fingers. C with the thumb, E with the middle finger, and G with the pinky finger. Like this, one right after the other. Use your thumb, then your middle finger. Pinky. So, and you should repeat this a few times as well. The hand should be positioned the same way. Yes, and here I was indeed with the little pinky finger. That's a bit mean, but I do have another really helpful tip for you here for this very weak little finger. So, once you've repeated that a few times, 20, 30 times, or even 50 or 100 times, it only takes a few minutes. Then the next step is, first, the left hand plays the three notes, and then the right hand plays the three notes. You can leave your hands positioned like this. Left hand starts. And then you can start all over again. Left pinky finger, then the middle finger, and finally the thumb. Now it's the right thumb, followed by the middle finger, and then the pinky finger. It's absolutely fine if you play this much slower. Take your time, pause the video until you can play it once. Because if you keep repeating it, it will get easier and easier, work better and better, and then once you can play it faster, it will sound great. So, is it worth it? I definitely think so. Alright, let's move on to the next chord. Oh, and by the way, if this is really your very first time doing this, listen, you can work with this video for 7 days, okay? If today you just take this first chord, or maybe this first little pattern, depending on how far you get, and come back to it every day, you'll be surprised at how well it works, even later on with the variations, which are beautiful to play. Because your brain processes a whole lot of what you've learned here while you sleep. And that's every single day. And in 7 days, you'll make incredible progress. Then, over time, everything will become noticeably more elegant, much easier, and significantly faster. Our second chord, which is an important one, is a minor. Look, the left hand now just simply moves the thumb from G to A right here. Otherwise, it essentially plays the exact same thing, but still, you should definitely repeat these particular notes here at least 20 times as well. It's very important for your practice. You can do it very slowly. That's totally fine. Your brain is learning this new movement sequence now. Let's move on to the right hand. Careful, there are two changes here. The little finger also goes to A. However, here, while we do play the E again, this time the index finger should play the E. That's a bit uncomfortable. So that we can play the same notes here. And again, in the right hand, repeat these three notes at least 20 times now. Once you've done that, left hand, little finger, Middle finger, thumb, right hand thumb, right index finger, and little finger. Look, I'm already doing it pretty quickly. It's absolutely fine if you do it even slower. But by the way, and this is a really important and crucial tip now, make absolutely sure you play everything nice and evenly with a consistent rhythm. So I know it won't work perfectly the first time, but that should be your goal during the repetitions, that you really as if everything were being played by a single skilled hand, and all the musical notes are nice and perfectly even, and not at all like this. Yeah, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it shouldn't be like that. That's a really important tip. And just as a reminder, try to strike the keys with your fingertips. And also, don't bend your finger joints. Of course, that can happen at the beginning, but try to pay attention to it already. So I know that's a lot of things at once, so just take it one step at a time. First, play the right notes, then make sure it's even, and then in the next step, you can focus on your fingertips. And as I said, not everything has to work perfectly right away today. By the way, if you're realizing right now that playing piano is really fun, that you enjoy the challenge and want to really get started, or just want more than what a beginner gets, check out the video description. There you'll find my piano crash course for beginners. It doesn't cost anything at all. I'm sure that if you're enjoying this right now, you'll love the crash course. You can always send me a message there as well. And together, we're going to have a lot of fun at the piano. So, the next and third chord, look, we were just here at the A minor chord. Now, the left hand doesn't play with the middle finger, but with the index finger. And that's the F. That means in the left hand, we have the pinky on C, index finger on F, and thumb on A. C, F, A. And that's already your third chord, F major. Yes, take your time. Repeat that nice and often. Once you've done that with the left hand, do it with the right hand as well. Not much changes here. From the index finger also to the middle finger. Thumb, middle finger on F, and pinky on A. And by the way, every single repetition you do, every repetition you've diligently done so far here with the pinky, is also a beneficial finger exercise for the pinky at the very same time. Look, I know it tends to stick up like this, pointing upwards. Yeah, and then it actually does something quite like this, which feels really rather strange. The important thing is, give it a little bit of time and do the necessary repetitions. And then you'll notice both in the next 7 days and, by the way, also in the coming weeks and months on your piano journey, that things with your pinky will keep getting better and better. So once you've done the repetitions, you can also play with both hands together here, nice and evenly, as if everything is coming from one hand. Yes, and look, once you can play this more smoothly and faster after a few repetitions, either today or in the next few days, it will sound like this. So, and since this is already our third chord, in the next step we can put all three chords together, starting with C major. Again. Now the second chord, a minor. Now the third one. Also just twice, and then back to C major again, twice! Great. That's already our first simple arpeggio pattern. It's actually not that easy. You can be very proud of yourself. If you can play this here now, as I said, take your time, there's no rush. The secret is in lots and lots of repetitions, and sometimes sleeping on it for a night. And if you still make absolutely sure that all your individual fingers play evenly and with consistent pressure, and by the way, just look closely when I carefully start with the very next chord from the C major chord, even when I play the A minor chord right here, it should sound precisely like this. Please listen carefully. First the C major and now the A minor, as if it were all cast from the same mold. And you can practice just this particular part separately once more. The chords are C major, then C major, and finally A minor. So that you can already prepare yourself mentally for the fact that there will be a change in the fingers of both your left and right hand here. Because that's one more step, one more task for your brain to master. But you can do it. But this should also be practiced separately. Alright, great. We have our first beautiful arpeggio pattern. Let's move on to the first variation. And the nice thing is, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Instead, with our hands positioned just as they are now, right here on this C major chord, we simply move both hands, pay attention, to the note G. To the G here, with the little finger on the left and the thumb on the right. But here too, you need to skip a white key, play one, skip one, and then play another. So this is our G major chord. And now we basically have to transfer both hands here. And at first we have exactly the same pattern here. It just sounds really quite a bit higher. It'll get a little bit more interesting later on. Later we'll change the character a bit. But for now, it's exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same, just 5 notes higher. So feel free to spend a bit of time on this as well. You probably don't need to do it that much, but it's a great exercise to play it again in a different position. The next exercises won't get any harder, and we won't add anything new. But later, I have another interesting exercise where we will add something, which will make the entire thing a lot more truly magical. But first, let's move on to the next simple variation and carefully change the character. Now this hand here moves up one musical note, both hands, so that the little finger on the left and the thumb on the right are on A. The notes A, C, E, A, C, E. All right, and pay attention. The next chord is coming now, but exactly as we had it before. Next chord, third chord. And this here is now our arpeggio in minor. Up until now, we were in major, and major always sounds cheerful and dominant, while minor immediately sounds a bit more melancholic. Listen to the sound. Wow! And we have another minor key, and that's when we start from the E natural note, specifically. And watch out, from now on it gets even crazier. Now we're heading a bit in the direction of film music. Now let's really start from D then. So this, you could say it's a mix between major and minor, simply put. Yes, we're now in the fascinating realm of church modes. We're moving into the exciting area of jazz, but film music also draws on these kinds of techniques, like when we play this from D and see what kind of mysterious sounds emerge. And we have another new connection if we start from point F. Look at how that sounds now. Yes, that's a completely different character again. We actually start off quite cheerfully. Yes, and immediately the mood shifts quite completely. And again, and then back to the original starting position. That's precisely how film music is carefully crafted and brought to life. Of course, it depends on the film. And the theory behind it is, of course, a bit more complex. Yes, but now you can already play some very advanced and quite intricate melodies. There's one note we haven't used yet, and that's when we start here on B. But I don't recommend that. That's something very unusual. And personally, I don't find it as pleasant anymore. Yes, decide for yourself. This is because here we're starting with a diminished chord, not a major or minor chord, but a diminished chord. Everything else always had something to do with major and minor. So now let's move on to an extended and more complex pattern, and for that we will start once again on C major. And we have two new challenges. And I recommend you tackle the first challenge on one day and the second on the next day. But I mean, if you manage to do both on the same day, even better. Congratulations! But it's not easy. First challenge. We play our pattern. Left hand, right hand. Of course, for that, it needs to be absolutely solid. Now the left hand crosses over and plays the C here with the index finger. And then it goes back down. So C, E, G, C, E, G, C. And that too should of course sound absolutely seamless and perfectly smooth. And for it to sound truly seamless and flow effortlessly, the left hand, look closely, when the right hand plays the distinct C note, the left hand is already gracefully and precisely on its way to that very same C note, anticipating the next chord. Yes, and that's the first exercise I recommend you practice on a separate day, because it's simply a completely new task for your brain. And keep it nice and even. But once you can play that perfectly, and of course have done many repetitions so that it really works smoothly and effortlessly, you can then do it with all the other chords as well. Do it twice each in context, but for practice, feel free to repeat it at least 20, 30, 40, or even 50 times. So, and then the next step, which can easily be on the following day. Look, first do the same thing, up to this C up here, and now the little finger of your right hand plays again, and now we play the notes downward. The first exercise for this is really just to just play it like this. You might say, well, they're actually really the same notes, so it can't be that hard, that much. But you know what? It's a different movement sequence, a different coordination for your hands. And that's why we have to play it downward like this. And practice it separately. So if we now include the index finger up there as well, we have the same exercise as before, just the other way around. That is, when the right hand now plays with the little finger, the left hand is already on its way down. It's nice that the thumb is on the G here. That's the exercise. Play the note up here, the right hand plays, and with the left hand already aim for this G here, which is about to be played. Preparation is half the battle. That's true, especially when playing the piano. When the hand prepares itself, it doesn't just rush along at some point and get lost, and then it doesn't sound nice anymore. Okay, so this is definitely a mistake to avoid. Forgetting to prepare. So preparation is the solution. Preparation is the solution for many things on the piano. So, and then the next step, once you've repeated this often, is to bring everything together. Upwards, the hand gently goes up, is positioned on the C, plays the C note, then goes back down again. Wow. So, and this is a truly very well-known, indeed a very famous piano accompaniment pattern that appears in many songs. It is used in the song What a Wonderful World, in The Beautiful Memories by Louis Armstrong, and The Classic Memories by Barbra Streisand. Yes, but also in many other songs that are in what's called 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or also in 12/8 time. You simply count to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bam. So, and it's just beautiful. And now you guys, all of the chords. Now I actually only played C major and F major. So now again C major. Now A minor. Now it's F major. And again C major. If you like this, I'm sure you'll love my piano crash course. I'll link it for you below the video in the video description. It costs absolutely nothing and is the best starting point for beginners on the piano. There, you'll receive the right exercises, nicely organized, delivered straight to your home. And if you're a beginner and want to really get started on the piano, this is definitely something I'm sure you'll love. It costs absolutely nothing. As I said, the link is in the video description. Also, I'm happy to have you visit my site, wordamusica.de. I'm glad you joined me. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my crash course on my website and in the next video.